Cut the music. Cut the music.
We usually sit over there, but.
Okay. All right, everybody sit down, please. What we're going to do is hold it, guys. Every time we have a meeting, we're going to start on time. Okay, whoever's here is here. Whoever's not here is fine with me. So we're going to start exactly at 7 o'clock. Going forward, we're going to be doing presentations in the beginning of every time we get together. So I'm going to start with, this is not really the first presentation, because the first presentation we had Sunday, and I'll have Costa describe it in a second. But tonight, I'm going to start the ball rolling, and every time we're going to have a presentation relating to the revolution. But what I'm going to do tonight is go over part of a speech that I made when I was in Athens. I had an event that I had on behalf of EMCA, the East Mediterranean Business Cultural Alliance, plus also the Federation. And this was in Athens. It was a sellout. It was standing room only. We had a cocktail hour, etc. We had dinner, what have you. It was an amazing event at the Demos Center. So let me just get started. For the Demos Center, basically, I changed the logo a little bit because our regular logo for this parade has the Statue of Liberty. In this particular case, the logo had the statue of Athena in Athens. So let's just get started. So I'm not going to go over everything because obviously I was thanking people who were there. But good evening, everyone. It is a profound honor to be here with you in Athens, the eternal city, the cradle of democracy, philosophy, and freedom, where the spirit of Hellenism first took form, and from which it radiated to enlighten the world. Bridging revolutions, where noble Athena, with shield and spear, lifted in solemn greeting, gazed towards the Statue of Liberty. When I did this presentation, there was both images, the images of Athena and the images of the Statue of Liberty. A silent dialogue bridging continents, eras, Hellenic and American ideals. Western wisdom salutes freedom, the old world and the new, and across the waters they stand together as internal guardians of liberty, enlightenment, and the enduring human spirit. I said to them, I came before you as the president of the East Mediterranean Business Cultural Alliance, as well as the chairman of the Greek Independence Day Parade in New York for the Federation of Hellenic Societies of Greater New York, for which I have the privilege of sponsoring this event, and developing the 205-250 theme, marking next year the 205th anniversary of the Hellenic Revolution of 1821 and the 250th anniversary of the American Declaration of Independence. The Greek Independence Day Parade is the largest parade in the Hellenic diaspora worldwide, a magnificent celebration where Fifth Avenue becomes a river of blue and white, and where the echoes of Zito Elas, mingle with the ideals of liberty and democracy. But more personally, I speak as an American of Hellenic descent, as many in the diaspora, born in Elas, holding dual citizenship, and as many profoundly shaped by both cultures, which to us are sacred. We carry both worlds within us, the land where democracy was born, and America, the land where it was reborn. As we approach next year, these intertwining anniversaries, the 205th anniversary and the 250th anniversary, but also the 250th anniversary of the birth of Ioannis Kapodistrias and the 200th year since the Exodus or the fall of Missolonghi, we gather not only to commemorate history, but to reaffirm the moral and spiritual bond between Hellenic and American Philhellenes. Worlds and a bond forged in blood, ideals, and an unending quest for liberty. The ancient foundation, Elas as inspiration for America. Long before there was a modern Hellenic state, there existed a spiritual connection. The American founding fathers, Jefferson, Adams, Madison, Franklin, when drafting the U.S. Constitution and envisioning a republic, consciously drew upon the philosophical and political legacy of classical Hellas. The Athenian model of democracy, the ideal of isomonia, equality before the law, and the notion of a citizen as a moral participant in a common good, all shaped America's founding ethos. Jefferson's correspondence, including with Adamantios Korais, reveals his deep admiration for Hellas as the cradle of civilization and liberty. In that sense, Hellas was spiritually present at America's birth, not physically, but through the ideals that form the republic's soul. When Hellas rose in revolt against Ottoman tyranny in 1821, Americans instantly recognized themselves in that struggle. A people yearning to be free, invoking God, liberty, and self-determination reflected their own profound story. Across the United States, from Boston to Philadelphia and New York, Hellenic committees emerged, uniting citizens of all backgrounds under the banner of Philhellenism. Churches, universities, and town halls resounded with speeches for the Hellenic cause. Fundraising campaigns collected money, medicine, and arms. American newspapers published accounts of Hellenic heroism and Ottoman atrocities that stirred the public conscience. Some Americans did not stop by words. Dr. Samuel Gridley Howe, later known as the Lafayette of the Greek Revolution, sailed to Hellas to fight and to heal. Captain Jonathan Miller of Vermont joined the struggle, adopting the Hellenic orphan Lucas Miltiades Miller, who later became the first American of Hellenic descent elected to the U.S. Congress. Others, George Jarvis of New York, George Wilson of Rhode Island, and James Williams, an African-American sailor from Baltimore, fought and died in many cases under the Hellenic flag. Jarvis, known as Kapitan Zervas, lies buried in Argos, far from home, yet forever bound to Hellas by sacrifice. This is not an abstract sympathy. It was the first moment when the American and Hellenic revolutions touched hands across the Atlantic, a fraternity of freedom that transcended oceans. From Greek fire to American consciousness, the revolutions echo in U.S. reform movements. The Hellenic Revolution did more than ignite admiration, it kindled transformation. The Greek fever, or Greek fire, as it was called in the 1820s America, infused the moral imagination of an entire generation. The sight of enslaved Hellenes, particularly women and children, under Ottoman chains provoked outrage among Americans and galvanized abolitionist sentiment. Many leading American Philhellenes, such as Dr. Samuel Gridley Howe and Jonathan Miller, later became prominent abolitionists. Howe even would join the Secret Six, the circle that supported John Brown's anti-slavery campaigns. The Hellenic Revolution and the effects of the American women's suffrage movement. The Philhellenic women of America formed a powerful bridge between the Greek cause and the emerging women's rights and suffrage movements. Julia Ward Howe, Emma Willard, Lucy Stone, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and Lydia Child among them. They organized fundraisers for Greek refugees, wrote impassioned appeals to consciousness, and redefined their own civic roles in the process. The Greek slave. The most famous American statue of the 19th century was called the Greek slave by Hiram Powers, depicting a bound Hellenic woman in an Ottoman slave market, and became a symbol not only of Hellas's suffering, but of womanhood under oppression. Lucy Stone recalled that upon seeing the statue, Hot tears came to my eyes at the thought of millions of women who must be freed. Thus, American Philhellenism became the crucible of moral awakening, linking the emancipation of Hellas to the emancipation of slaves and the liberation of women. Emma Willard's Troy Seminary, inspired by her Hellenic devotion, helped form and found the first women's school in Hellas, a living bridge between Hellenic and American ideals of enlightenment and education. John Zappos, Hellenic-born American abolitionist, physician, educated orator. This moral bridge continued into the American Civil War, where Hellenic Americans and Philhellenes alike fought for the Union and for abolition. Among them, for example, as an example, there were many, is John Zappos, a Hellenic-born abolitionist, physician, educator, and orator. A veteran of the Civil War and the early advocate for women's education and racial equality, Zappos embodied the fusion of Hellenic idealism and American reform. His life, from the Hellenic struggle for independence to the American struggle for emancipation, stands as a symbol of the continuous arc of freedom linking our two nations. And he was not alone as a Hellenic American. The Hellenic Revolution, in other words, did not only birth a nation, it transformed another nation, America. As I have stated, we mark also the 250th anniversary of the birth of Ioannis Kapodistrias, whom Dr. Ioannis, who was going to speak later, was going to talk a little bit further. We honor the man rightly called the father of the modern Hellenic nation. A diplomat of extraordinary intellect and moral conviction, Kapodistrias envisioned Hellas not merely as a state, but as a moral republic founded upon education, virtue, and civic responsibility. His worldview, steeped in enlightenment, ideals, and Christian humanism, found deep resonance with America's founders. Like Jefferson and Adams, Kapodistrias believed that liberty without moral foundation was an illusion. His correspondence with European and American leaders reveals a man who sought to reconcile faith and reason, East and West, in the service of human dignity. His assassination in 1831 cut short that vision, but his legacy of governance rooted in ethics continues to inspire both sides of the Atlantic. Recently, in the last few years, one of the things that was rediscovered is Washingtonia. For those who don't know, Samuel Gridley Howe had established an area called Washingtonia, where he tried to create a community within Greece, and Kapodistrias was also involved in that particular thing. Missolonghi, the martyr city and the human consciousness. Next year also marks the 200th anniversary of the Exodus, the third siege of Missolonghi in 1826, one of the most harrowing and transcendent moments of the Hellenic War of Independence, about which Dr. Metropolis will speak about in greater detail. He was the one that spoke. Metropolis is an excellent speaker, by the way. He was the one that spoke about Missolonghi. The first siege of Missolonghi and the Battle of Missolonghi is enshrined in the Hymn of Liberty by Dionysius Solomos in stanza 88 to 122. Much as the Battle of Baltimore is remembered in America's own national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Both sung this evening, because we had somebody sing it this evening. Each was a desperate yet heroic defense against overwhelming odds, and both became defining symbols of national endurance. What did I want to do with this particular statement? To indicate that the Hellenic national anthem was about a battle. Okay, in this case, it was the first siege of Missolonghi, not the third siege of Missolonghi. It was about a battle. And the Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem, was also about a battle. So there's, again, this linkage between our two nations. The starving yet unbroken defenders of Missolonghi during the third siege and Exodus chose death over surrender. Their exodus became an act of collective martyrdom that electrified America and Europe alike, inspiring poets like Lord Byron, who died there, and awakening the conscience of the West. For Americans, Missolonghi symbolized the universal struggle for liberty, the moral victory of spirit over tyranny. Churches across New England held memorial services, drawing parallels to Lexington and Concord, America's first battle for liberty. The American press compared the walls of Missolonghi to the ramparts of freedom itself. Missolonghi was not just a Hellenic tragedy, it was a universal revelation that freedom depends on sacrifice and that the human soul is never conquered. Its story reminds us that the courage of the few can ignite the consciousness of the many, and that liberty, when nurtured with virtue and devotion, transcends time and space and also culture. Okay. The eternal bond of freedom. As we all stand between the anniversaries of the 205 and 250 years and bridging revolutions, we are not merely looking back. We are looking forward and inward. The Hellenic and American revolutions are not isolated historical events. They are two verses of the same hymn to liberty. They remind us that liberty is not granted, but earned, not preserved by words, but by courage, sacrifice, and constant renewal. The bond between our peoples endures in shared ideals, in our diaspora communities, in the friendships of nations, and in the beating heart of every person who believes that truth, justice, and freedom are sacred. And so, as we prepare to celebrate these great milestones in Greek Independence Day Parade down Fifth Avenue, commemorating these anniversaries, including the 250th anniversary of the birth of Kapodistrias and the 200th anniversary of the siege of Missolonghi, let us do so not merely with pride, but with purpose. To honor those who came before us, to inspire those who will follow, and to reaffirm for the Hellenic and American Philhellenic worlds alike that the flame of freedom burns bright. Zito Elas, long live the enduring spirit of freedom, and God bless America. Okay, so that was my speech. So why did I bring it out today? The reason why I brought it out today is I want everybody to understand what the themes are of this parade. Why it's so important that we discuss these particular themes. Again, 250th anniversary of the Hellenic Revolution. And some people may say, why do you have the 205 in the American flag? The reason why we have the 205 in the American flag is because the Hellenic Revolution is tied to America. And again, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence is tied to Elas. It's tied to Elas. Not the modern Elas, but it's tied to classical Elas. So that's why we have that. And obviously the symbol that we have is the Statue of Liberty. Anyway, that's basically it. And what I'd like to do now, before we continue, is just introduce the chair of our education committee, who will just give us a brief talk on what happened on Sunday in our first presentation having to do with the Greek genocide. Professor Stathis, Professor Dimitriou.
Those of you who might have been here last Sunday were treated to a extraordinary lecture by Stathis from Melbourne, Australia. He is on the board of the Australian Institute of Macedonian Studies, and he's also on the board of the Pontian Center in Chicago. Stathis discussed the genocide in Asia Minor. He took us through the diplomatic documents and the details from the early days until the Treaty of Lausanne. and the exchange of populations. It was a detailed presentation. He had PowerPoint, but what was remarkable is that Stavridis did this without any notes. I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I rarely lecture without having some notes in front of me. Stavros did it without any notes. He is going to be giving a similar presentation. He's been invited to a community, a Greek community in Phoenix, Arizona, in the next couple of days, and he'll be giving a lecture there as well. And we had a small but a select group because of the snowstorm. But everyone who was here was impressed and enjoyed the lecture, and perhaps in the future he'll come back and treat us to some more information. He is also a contributor every week, almost every week, to the English edition of the National Herald on various historical subjects. So if you want to know more about it, all you have to do is pick up the National Herald and you can see the kinds of things that Professor Stavridis writes about. Thank you.
I'd like now to introduce our journal chairman, as well as our financial committee chairman, for just a brief discussion about the journal. We had a discussion earlier, and I think it makes total sense of where you're thinking of doing.
Good evening, everyone. So, we're probably going to hit the ground running after the holidays hard with the journal. We're finalizing the contract. We're thinking of keeping the price point on all the pages the same, although we may make some adjustments for the committees discussing that. But we're hoping that everyone who's involved with the parade will help support the journal. It can't just be limited to a few people, because the best way to sell journal ads is when you have a direct connection with someone. And I like to think that I know a lot of people, but not everybody's going to open their pocketbooks to Peter Gerouzounis. It'll be to whomever solicits them directly. We've got a great system that's in place, and if everybody on my list basically bought a journal ad, I think we can raise about $250,000, but unfortunately a lot of people don't. So I really probably, certainly the next meeting, we're going to have the contract in place, and hopefully everyone will help and help spread the word. If you visit establishments, restaurants, grocery stores, any place that, especially that's involved with the Greek community, if you have business relationships, especially whether they're Greeks or non-Greeks, please help support it. Also, we have editorial articles, pictures that we want to basically complement all the ads. It's not just about ads, it's about putting together a journal that's a commemorative journal. So if anyone has any interest, please, reach out and you can join the committee and participate in that as well. The other hat that I wear, the financial side, we need to make sure that this is a financial success. Obviously, starting with things like the journal, which is our biggest single fundraiser, not single fundraiser, but our largest direct fundraiser. It helps the financial success. But we need all the committees who are involved in all the different events to basically provide their budgets so that we can kind of organize it and make sure that we're being fiscally responsible and making this the most successful parade ever. So thank you all. Thank you, Lou. And have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Okay. Basically, what we want to do is come January, we want to run. Okay, we don't want to walk. We want to run. So all that information in terms of the journal, etc., will be in place by the end of the year, and early in January we're going to go out with the journal. I'd like now to have someone speak with regards to the. Paul, you're going to come up.
I
No, come here, Paul. Tell us what we've raised so far. And again, this is another thing that with the raffle, in January, we want to go out into the street full running. Go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Metropolis. Still I'm in charge for the lottery here. So, έχουμε μαζέψει μέχρι τώρα prizes and cash κάπου 11.000 με 12.000 δολάρια. And we try to get some more. But what I want to do is I want to ask Stavro over there to mail out the raffles to each society. We can mail up to the president 20 raffles to each society of Greater New York. Να δούμε όσο μπορούμε να πουλήσουμε παραπάνω, γιατί last year κάνουμε μόνο 35.000 δολάρια. The year before that, we made about $55,000. So we are working hard. I want everybody to participate. If you guys know anybody that wants to donate some more prizes, please let me know. Thank you.
How are we doing so far with that, based on last year? Have we exceeded it?
Yes, we went above and beyond from last year, about $2,000 or $3,000 more.
This is the summer.
And this
That's pretty good. Congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so as was indicated, we're gonna go full run in January. Hold on a second, no meetings, no side meetings. Guys, Christian, no side meetings. We're gonna go full run. As we indicated, we have more prizes this year now in December than we had last year. And we're gonna continue to do that. The journal, again, we're going to beef it up. Yanni is not here today because he's at some other event and he's the chair of the Gala. But I'll bring, again, I'm gonna start the meetings at 7 o'clock, like I said, with a presentation like we did today. And we're just gonna continue. And when the meeting is over, it's over. So, and I wanna keep the meetings like an hour. So we decided as a committee, he as the chair, that the Gala is gonna be at Cipriani. Okay, we're gonna have it at Cipriani, 42nd Street. That's where the Gala is going to be. And we're in the process right now of putting down the deposits. And again, at the beginning of the year, we're going to send out for the Gala again. The other thing that I want to announce tonight is that publicly, you can do this public because this is important, let everyone submit who they think the Grand Marshal should be for the upcoming parade. We're not saying that we're going to choose from them, but we want an open scenario. And obviously, there may be different people that people think should be honored as the Grand Marshals. What are we going to do this coming year? We're going to have 2 categories. One category is organizations. We're going to have 2 organizations that really are linked to Greece and America. Okay, so our recommendation is going to be to pick the most significant organizations, 2 of them, that relate to linkages between Hellas and America. And then we're going to have 2 individuals also as Grand Marshals. So there'll be 4 Grand Marshals, 2 organizations, and 2 individuals. So submit your names, but what we want to do is in January, we want to announce who the Grand Marshals are. We're not going to wait till the last minute. We're going to announce in January who the Grand Marshals are for the parade, because again, we want to set up everything that we're going to do in the upcoming year. We're open to questions, and then we're going to call the meeting as we normally do within that hour. Yes?
For Grand Marshals, do we have any requirements besides the name and publicity, or do we have any financial?
There's no set criteria. The only thing we're not going to do is no one is going to buy the Grand Marshal position. Nobody. We don't care who they are. They will not buy it. They are going to be people that if they want to give money, that's up to them. But they have to be the appropriate people for this upcoming parade, which has to do with the 205th anniversary of Greek independence and the 250th anniversary of the American Declaration of Independence.
Any requirements too about their personality, their status, or?
Well, obviously, they have to be recognized individuals. Okay, we're not gonna honor somebody because, whatever.
I have to know in mind.
No. This is not the meeting where people suggest names.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, send in the names, you can send it to me, you can send it to Stavro, whatever it is, send in the names, but I want this public, let people send in the names. 2 organizations and 2 individuals, but the organizations must be organizations that are linked directly in a very positive way with Hellas and America. That's the important criteria for the organizations. Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
I think these are great, and I agree that should be it. But can we have a third to represent the youth and the young professionals, either a Greek organization or a young professional that has represented Greece and America?
We will take that into consideration, and I agree. But we have to be careful we can't have like a dozen Grand Marshals.
No, I understand.
No, but we may create a separate category, and I agree, by the way. We have a separate category for young professionals, those under 40, I don't know what you want to call it. Yeah, we'll consider that, absolutely. We're absolutely gonna consider that. Now, the other thing that I want to mention with regards to the Gala is we're going to have a separate scenario for younger people, professionals, etc., at a discounted rate. We'll go into further details with that at our next meeting. But this parade is extremely important as it relates to the young people. We want their inclusion in this particular parade, including the Gala. The tickets may be a little bit more than normal, okay? They may be a little bit more than normal, but we want to maintain the right pricing structure for the young professionals. Yes.
Καλησπέρα. Καλή παρέλαση.
Thank you.
Καρβέλης, Βασίλειος, για όσους δεν το ξέρουν. Προηγουμένως είδα τη φωτογραφία του έξοδο Μεσολογγίου.
Yes.
Έγινε στις 10 Απριλίου του 2021. Πριν γινόταν κλεφτοπόλεμος. Η αληθινή επανάσταση άρχισε με την έξοδο.
Is this a question or it's a statement? Ρώτα κάτι.
Κατά τη δική μου πτυχή γνώμη, θα ήταν ορθό την παρέλαση να την κάνουμε γύρω σε αυτή την ημερομηνία.
The reason why the parade is on April 26 has to do with the Roman Catholic Easter, the Greek Orthodox Easter, and Tufama. That's why it got pushed into April 26, just so everybody can understand what the
Which
story
is not a bad idea.
Huh?
It's not a bad idea.
You can't have a parade during Easter. It's not happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not happening. So that's the answer to that. I agree with your sentiment, by the way. I agree with you. Any other questions? Okay, the other thing is this, talking about Missolonghi.
Θα ξέρουμε μόνο από έξω.
Talking about Missolonghi. They are going to come to the parade, by the way. They're going to have a contingent from Missolonghi in the traditional costumes that and will be in the parade. Many people have called me and told me about different organizations, etc., who want to participate in the parade. What we need is for those organizations to contact us. I know you have relationships with different parts of Greece, organizations, etc., but have them contact us. Okay, it's very important that they contact us so we can have a discussion, and they may require a letter from us asking them to come in. What we don't want to do is pay for any contingent to come into the United States. Okay, and most of the people that we've spoken to, just about everybody, said that they will pay to come with their contingent into the U.S. And there's a lot of different groups, but please, if you have relationships and they're talking to you, have them contact us so we can communicate with them. Any other questions? With that, again, we did our thing in less than an hour. Thank you for coming. You're the best.
επόμενη χρονιά. Του χρόνου.
Listen, one more thing. Forget about Merry Christmas, but just 1 second. We have to develop a date for the Vassilopoulos. Okay, so we will contact the appropriate authorities, because obviously we'd like the Archbishop here for the cutting of the Vassilopoulos. You had a question?
No, I have to say that it is between 15th and 22nd. I know that the Archbishop is not going to be the first part of the month, but also traditionally, in the last few years, it was between the 15th and the 22nd.
Okay, we'll coordinate that. So again, we're not going to be meeting during Christmas and New Year's, and we'll come up with a schedule for next year, a complete schedule for next year. Thank you again. Merry Christmas to you and a great and happy New Year.
When is the next meeting? The next meeting?
We'll come up with a schedule. I mean, I'd like to have a meeting on the first week of January, but I'm not sure. We have to talk to some people. But we'll come up with a full schedule.
Yeah. Better have a meeting of the committee first.
No, we know that. No, I understand. That's what we're gonna do. The answer is yes. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And again, we're keeping what we said within an hour. We're gonna start always at 7 o'clock. Whoever comes late, they came late.